Welcome to Estimating Averages number 2. And this morning we'll be following on from what we've learned yesterday about averages and looking at some medians as well, and also a little bit on range. So good morning to all my viewers out there. Live Maths is going to start off in very shortly. Okay, let's get going. Okay, that was the Happy Mondays and Step On. And that's what we've got to do right now is step on to the maths. Okay, so let's get going with estimating averages. Here we go. So, starting off this morning, we're going to just have a little bit of a recap about what averages are, and then we're going to go into revision of yesterday, and then we're going to take this a little bit further and have a look at estimating the median, and also we need to have a look at how the mode and the range fits in. Okay, so without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so I want to just do a little bit of revision about averages. So I'm just going to pick some random numbers. Okay, so there we are. Let's add a 10 just for argument's sake. So I've got some random numbers there, and the first thing we need to do, and I would suggest this for any sorts of numbers that we're dealing with, unless there's loads and loads of numbers and we need a group tally chart, is to put them in order. Okay, so I've already done that for you, smallest to biggest, put them in order. Okay, so what we're going to look at first is we're going to look at the mean. Okay, so the mean is we're going to add them all up, okay, and divide by number of numbers. Okay, so we've got 2, add 3, add 4, add 5, add 5, add 7, add 10. Just count up the numbers, make sure we've got enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right. So now, if I was to do divide by 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Big problem here on the calculator, and it is how I've put them in. Okay, so divide by 7 at this point is going to do the 10 divided by 7 only, and then add those up. So you've got to be careful how you put these into the calculator. Okay, so you can either use brackets, or you could do turn it into a big long fraction, or what I tend to do is find the total of that. Okay, which is 36. Alright, and you can put some working out down at this stage. Mean equals 36 divided by, out of, did I say 7? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 7. So there we go. That 36 over 7 in the standard form is 5.14 to 1 decimal place. Strictly speaking, we started off with whole numbers, so you know that's we should be on 5, but 5.14 is fine. We may be asked to give a certain number of decimal places in the question. Think about the units if they do have any units, things like that. Okay, next to the median. So let's add up the numbers, divide by the number of numbers. Median is a maths word for middle number. So Borodar to Miss Davis this morning. Nice to see you here today. Thank you for that. We've got 5 viewers this morning. Let's see if we can beat our record of 7. Okay, so median, we've got middle number. It sounds a bit like middle number, doesn't it? Median. Okay, so how do we find the middle number? So what I like to do is we can identify it straight away, but that's not really using a method, and if there's loads of numbers, you know, we can't find that middle. It's really important, by the way, to get them in order. If we don't have them in order, it doesn't work. So what I tend to do is use a little bit of a method where I match the biggest and smallest together, and this way we're sort of closing in on the middle and we're finding the middle this way. Okay, so biggest and smallest. I could highlight them. What you don't want to do is cross them out, these numbers, because if you cross one out, you need to get back to them numbers to see what they are. Then you won't be able to read them. So working to the middle, that's my middle number. Okay, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest, biggest, smallest. Okay, middle number is 5. So what happens if we end up with two middle numbers, which could be possible? Well, what we do then is add those two middle numbers and divide by 2, or find the middle of the middle numbers. Okay, so something along those lines. Right, now moving on to the next part, which is the mode. Again, mode, most, sounds a bit similar. Most common. Okay, so here we've got the most common as 5, because 5 occurs more than the rest. It's not always the case that these are the same, so be really careful about that. They mean two different things. It just so happens that my made up numbers, they're the same. Okay, and tagged on along with this topic is the range, and that says how spread out the results are. So they could all be 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, and all just around this number here. But these are a bit more spread out, so we need to know how many numbers are between these two to see how spread out the results are. So it's a simple task now of doing 10 minus 2, biggest minus smallest, equals 8. So the numbers are spread out by 8. This is a slightly different topic to, it's called measures of dispersion. These are all averages, but at GCSE it's good to have a little look at this little topic as well while we're at it. Okay, alright, now let's go back to estimating a mean then. Okay, so I've got a question here, a little bit better than the worksheets, because on this question we've already got the we can read them because the camera's a bit blurry, I know, so now you can read those nice and easy. So let's have a little a close look, a close inspection at what's going on here. So what we're saying, okay, is that 5 people have got scores between 0 and 10. Okay, and these are test scores. Okay, test scores and maths test scores. Okay, we don't know how many people are in the survey, but as I said yesterday, a lot of times it's said in the question at the start. So, but we do know that 5 people in this group of people have got a score between 0 and 10. Now, I've kind of wanted to do a little bit of an error here, just to give you an idea of something to look at. Okay, so I'm just going to sidetrack a minute. I'm going to copy this out again, the first 2 bits, because you might need to formulate this table yourself, so it's important to see what not to do. Okay, so I've copied those 2 things out. I want you to have a look at compare these 2 score intervals, the ones I've copied out, with these score intervals of the question. And I want you to think, you don't need to write this one down, I want you to think about why this might not be suitable. What's the difference? Okay, so having a look here, just that little symbol there. Alright, we've got that symbol there and that symbol there, which means less than or equal to. So the problem here is, if somebody gets a score of 10 in their test, are they counted in that category or that category? Well, you simply don't know, because you might say, oh, less than or equal to 10, that's fine, it can go there. Oh, it can go there as well. Oh, so which one do I put it in? So we've got to be careful about that. If you notice about these class intervals, they've got a less than and a less than or equal to. That means that if you get 20 or 10 or one of these numbers, it fits into one category only. It doesn't fit there, it fits there. So when you're formulating your own group tables, group tally charts, remember to look for that. And this just means, some people get mistaken with what's going on here, this just means the scores in this group are between 0 and 10 and include 10. The scores in this group are from 10 to 20 and include 20. Okay, so let's move on. So the first thing we need to do here is find our midpoint. Okay, so midpoints, all right, all we need to do, use a calculator if it's a calculator question. Take the smallest number in the interval with the biggest number, add them together and divide by 2. So 0 plus 10 and divide by 2, so that's going to give us 5. So repeat that process all the time. Obviously that's quite easy to do. Okay, 0 add 10 is 10 divided by 2, but if you're using your calculator, that's fine as well, because this tends to be a calculator question. 10 add 20 is 30, so if we halve that, it's 15. 20 add 30 is 50, so if we halve that, it's going to be 50, 25. So you can see a pattern developing. 5, 15, 25. Now, this is something I warned you about yesterday. Okay, you can't rely on this pattern. So you've got to still keep doing this process. Okay, so if I relied on this pattern, I'd be writing 35 there. Okay, but look at the interval. It's from 30 to 50. This was from 20 to 30. So this interval's jumped to 20 places, and this was only 10 places. So you still have to do that process. Add the smallest and biggest together and divide by 2. So 30 add 50 is going to be 80, and 80 divided by 2 is going to be 40. So that's where the pattern ends. Okay, it's 50 plus 75 equals divide by 2. That's 125 divided by 2, which is 62.5. And then you've got 75 add 100 divided by 2. Well, equals first. Don't forget the equals first because of bidmas. Okay, is 175. Just going back to, I'll show that on the screen. Okay, if I just did 75 plus 100 divided by 2, what happens here is the divide by 2 gets done first because the calculator's doing bidmas. So just be careful you don't do that. Just like we were doing the average before, we can use either brackets or press equals first and then divide by the answer by 2, okay, to give us our 87.5. Just be careful about that. It's another pitfall that people make. Okay, so the midpoints are not always as straightforward as normal, so just be careful with those. Okay, and just a reminder what happens next and why. Okay, so actually what I'll do now is I'll just ask you, see if you can remember what would go there. That's a nice easy box to fill in. So I want you to type this in. What would you put there? Okay, and a big Borodar to Miss Wynne this morning for joining us. Well done, Miss Wynne, for getting on board with this maths. Borodar. So waiting for some answers as well. Okay, and just looking at the comments there, well done to Lydia for spotting the issue with the less than or equal to 2's. You've done that very well. Borodar, Mr. Tate. Nice to see you this morning too. Diane. Okay, so brilliant, getting some answers in there. We've got 5 times 5, which is correct. So that's an F times MP. So just to explain what's going on there, what we're saying is we're estimating that these 5 people in this category, they could have like 2 or 3 or 7 or 8. We don't know the exact score, we just know that it's between 0 and 10. So what we're saying is that if we don't know what they are, we're choosing the midpoint for each person, and then if we're adding the total, 5 people have got this midpoint. That's 5 add 5 add 5 add 5 add 5, which is also the same as 5 times 5. So we're multiplying across there. And you can see the numbers getting bigger here. So this is definitely a calculator question. Alright, so 15 times 15. Okay, if you've got pen and pencil in front of you, have a go yourself at these. Okay, I'll just fill these in. So multiplying those two across. Okay, 425, 520, 1562.5. And if these get quite big, don't panic, because you know you've got 25 people getting a score of between 50 and 75. This is more likely to be a half a year group rather than a single class. So these numbers are quite high, and that's fine. 1050. Okay, brilliant. So the next thing we need to do now is find the total, and we need the total because what we need to have here is the total divided by number of numbers. So this midpoint now, we don't need the total of them, so I'm going to write NA, not applicable, or a cross or something like that, so we don't need to worry about that one. Okay, I do need the number of numbers. So unless it's in the question at the start, you need to add that column up, and we do need what the total of all the scores are together, which is that column. So if you've got a calculator handy, you need to just add them up and add them up. Okay, alright, I'll do it as well. So if you're quicker than me, type them in, see if you can beat me. Let's do this column first. Alright, type them into your calculator. Anyone got an answer? Brilliant, 87. Well done. So now, well done, Lydia. You've got 87 there. Let's see some more people in putting these answers down. Okay, now we need to add this column up here. See if you can beat me by typing it in. Don't forget the S button. 3807.5. That's not what I've got. I'm going to type mine in again. Okay. Let's have a look. 25 plus 225 plus 425 plus 520. If you've got big numbers like that, I'd definitely say it's worth just doing it twice as a check anyway, because this is something you don't want to get right. A lot of people get this wrong on such a basic. So yeah, looking good. Let's see, Mike. There we go. Get a light on it. 3807.5. Brilliant. So I must have typed something in wrong there. So it's worth doing that twice. If the numbers don't match, do it a third time. Because the thing is, if it seems silly to me to have done all this really decent hard work and then make a mess up on typing it in your calculator. So again, add them up twice. So the last bit is to find the mean. We need the total, which is that number there, 3807.5. 7.5 divided by the number of numbers, okay, like that, on your calculator. I've done a divide there, okay, but you could use that button there as well, fraction button, still work. Okay, standard to decimal button, press that, 43.8, and that's it. There's our mean. Brilliant. Okay, next part then. Right, we need the median now. Now this is an estimate of the median. These are all estimates. The reason why they're estimates is because we have to make decisions about the missing information, and the missing information here is that we don't know the exact scores. We just know they lie in a category. Now this is something that you've got to be aware of. Lots and lots of people will now look at this in a GCSE exam, that is, and see, right, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories there, so the median is in the third, between the third and the fourth category, so therefore it's 30. Now that makes a lot of sense, but the problem is there's different amounts of people in all of these categories. And what you need to do is look at how many people there are. 87. If we wrote out all these scores in a big long line for this half year group, you know, it'd take us forever, and then we work smallest to biggest, smallest to biggest, smallest to biggest, and if we were in a big long line, we'd be halfway on that 87th score. So what we need to do is we need to get the 87 people, put them all in line, and find halfway. So that would be 87 divided by 2, which is the 43rd and half position. So what we need to do is count up these numbers here and work out where the 43rd and the 44th person would be, and then make a judgment about what value that would represent. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, we're after the 43rd.5 position. That's not my answer I'm writing down, I'm just jotting that down as my working out. Okay, so let's work through this. So, is the 43rd person in the first category? Definitely not. But just like a cumulative frequency list or working out when we do a running total, that's what we need to do here, but we stop at 43. Or find out where that 43 is. So next we add 15. Well, that's obviously 20. So that's not the 43rd person. So it's not in that group. We're too short so far. Add a 17. 37. So it's not in that group. The middle person is not in that group. Okay. So going for 30 is in between the two wouldn't have worked. Wouldn't be accurate. So now we need to add a 13, which is 50. So there's between 37 and 50th person is in that group. Okay, so that is where the median is. Okay, so the 43rd and 44th person are in that group. Okay, 43rd and 44th person in that group, and remember that's the middle. The 43rd and a half person is the middle. So what do we do now? Okay, so we got to make a judgment now, and I think the best thing to do here, okay, would be to take the midpoint of that group as our estimate. Remember, we're estimating the median. Okay, so the middle of this group, the value, the middle is in this group, and the middle of this group is 40. So it makes sense to give our estimate of the median to be 40. Now, very often GCSE will just ask you, you won't need this estimate, final estimate, they'll just say which group is the median in. Okay, so you could put 30 to 40. Median is in between 30 to 50, in the 30 to 50 category, not 30 to 40, 30 to 50 category. That might be sufficient. Right, one more thing to find, and then we're done for today. And this is the modal group. Now, if we went back right to the beginning, folks, when we were looking at revising averages, we had the word mode. Now we got modal group. It's the same idea. This is nice and easy, but instead of just giving a final mark for the mode, what we're going to do is say where the most common group is. It's nice and easy. Alright, so you look down your list, find the biggest number there, 25. Okay, that's where the mode is going to be. That's the biggest frequency. That's the most people are in that group. So we can write modal group 50 to x, 50 less than x, less than or equal to 75. Just like so. And there we have it, folks. Mean, median and mode estimated. If you do need to estimate the range, now you don't get asked this very often, but you need to just be aware. Okay, you've got to think carefully about this. Okay, now a little bit of discretion there. That's not supposed to have an equal sign bit to it. So you can't have 0. Nobody's got a score of 0 because it's not. You can't put it in that category. So you've got to start this at 1 really. But having said that, you could have a score of 0.1, 0.2. So actually you could use that. So again, estimate of a mean. We can't say for sure because we don't know what these numbers are, but we could say that the very highest value could be 100. The very lowest could be 0.0000000 recurring 1. So we can use that naught for this case. So an estimate of the mean is biggest and smallest, so you could say 100. Alright, very unlikely to get asked that, but it's just worth being aware, especially in numeracy exam. You know, we get asked all sorts of problem solving questions there. So that's brilliant and fantastic. We have 7 viewers this morning, so we've equaled the world record. Keep passing on the information. If we can get 10 by the end of the week, that would be fantastic. Okay, so a few little notes before I finish off today. Well, again, well done to I'll leave that on. Well done to everyone who's turned up this morning to listen to the Maths Live. Remember about checking the Google Classrooms for your maths work this week. I know that all the maths teachers have put some extra work on for you this week, so the topics are moving on. And also, what I would like you to do is we've got 2 more sessions this week, Wednesday and Friday, not Thursday because I'm not here Thursday, Wednesday and Friday. Okay, I've got plenty of topics I'd like to cover, but I'm putting it out there. This is all about helping you guys, so if you want to think about a topic and post it up on the maths website, maths Facebook, which topic you want to do. That'd be quite helpful. And I can follow that up for Wednesday, Friday, or we could do separate ones. So I'm opening up to you this week, and then I'll post up the poll. It probably might only be a poll of about 10 people, but that doesn't matter. So post it up. In fact, I'll put a message up there, okay, for a little bit of a vote, all right, and then you can make the decision. Alright, that's all from me, so I'm going to leave you with a bit of Happy Mondays before we finish off. Okay, take care, have a good day, see you soon.